It was a totally normal day on Flight 247, or at least, that's what every single person on that plane thought when they woke up that morning. The sun was shining outside, the sky was blue, and people were ready to fly somewhere fun or important. Maybe they were going to see their grandma, or maybe they were off to a big soccer game far away. Whatever it was, they had no clue that this plane ride was going to be anything but normal. Nope, not even close. Something wild was about to happen, and it was going to surprise everyone big time. The plane was super crowded. Imagine a giant metal tube in the sky, stuffed with people carrying bags, kids holding toys, and grown ups chatting about boring stuff like work. The seats were all squished together, row after row, like a big puzzle. Everyone was moving around, trying to find their spots. Some people were fast, zooming to their seats like they were in a race. Others were slow, dragging their suitcases and bumping into stuff. The air felt busy, like a beehive buzzing with noise. You could hear suitcases rolling, people laughing, and a baby crying way in the back. It was loud, it was messy, and it was just another day on a plane, or so they thought. Now, let's talk about Jamal Carter. Jamal was one of the passengers that day. He wasn't loud or fancy or anything like that. He was just a regular guy, quiet as a mouse, wearing a big gray hoodie that covered most of his head. He had a backpack slung over one shoulder, and he walked onto the plane with his head down, minding his own business. All he wanted was to get to his seat, row 12, seat B, right by the window. That's it. Nothing special, nothing crazy. He wasn't asking for attention or trying to show off. He just wanted to sit down, maybe look out at the clouds, and chill. To the other people on the plane, he didn't seem like a big deal. They probably thought, oh, he's just some tired guy who's been traveling all day. Maybe they didn't even notice him at all. But here's the thing, they were so wrong. Jamal wasn't just any guy. Oh no. He was hiding something huge, something nobody saw coming. And soon, everyone on that plane was going to find out. Then there was Lisa. Lisa was the flight attendant, the lady who walks up and down the aisle making sure everyone's okay. She was supposed to help people, right? Like, if you drop your snack or need a blanket, she's the one who's got your back. Well, not today. Lisa had been doing this job for a super long time, years and years. She knew all the rules, all the buttons to push on the plane, all the stuff flight attendants have to know. She had a little badge pinned to her blue uniform that said her name, and her hair was pulled back tight in a bun. She looked like she was in charge, and she liked it that way. But on this day, Lisa wasn't feeling happy or nice. Nope. She was grumpy. Really grumpy. Maybe she didn't sleep well the night before, or maybe her coffee spilled on her shirt that morning. Who knows? Whatever it was, she was not in the mood for anything or anyone messing up her day. The second Jamal stepped onto the plane, Lisa's eyes zoomed right to him. It was like she had a superpower for spotting people she didn't like. Her eyes got all narrow, like a cat watching a mouse. Something about Jamal bugged her. Was it his hoodie? It was just a plain gray one, nothing weird or scary about it. Was it the way he walked, all calm and quiet? Maybe he didn't smile big enough when he said hi to her at the door. Or maybe it was something else, something mean inside her head that she didn't even say out loud. Whatever it was, Lisa decided right then and there that Jamal was trouble. She didn't know him, she didn't talk to him yet, but she made up her mind. And when Lisa made up her mind, she didn't change it. Oh boy, was that a mistake, a huge, giant mistake. Jamal didn't see her staring. He was too busy looking at his ticket, making sure he had the right seat. Row 12, seat B, easy. He shuffled down the aisle, squeezing past people who were shoving bags into the overhead bins. "Excuse me," he said softly to a lady who was blocking his way. She moved, and he kept going. He didn't make a fuss. He didn't yell or push. He was just a normal guy trying to get to his spot. But Lisa? She was watching him like a hawk. Every step he took, her eyes followed. She crossed her arms, her lips pressed tight together, like she was already mad about something he hadn't even done yet. The other passengers didn't notice her glaring. They were too busy with their own stuff, finding seats, fixing their headphones, telling their kids to sit down. But Lisa noticed Jamal. And she was about to make it a problem, a big, loud problem that everyone would hear. Let's stop for a second and think about this. Have you ever seen someone and thought, I don't like them, even before they said a word? Maybe they looked different, or they were too quiet, or they just didn't fit what you expected. It happens sometimes, right? People judge other people super fast, like in a snap of your fingers. That's what Lisa was doing. She didn't know Jamal's story. She didn't know where he was going or why he was on that plane. She didn't even know his name yet. But she looked at him, and boom, she decided he was going to be trouble. She didn't give him a chance. Not one tiny chance. And that was the start of everything that went down on Flight 247. Picture the plane again. It's big, right? Rows and rows of seats, all lined up neat and tight. The windows are little circles showing the bright sky outside. The carpet on the floor is kinda worn out from so many shoes walking on it every day. Up above, those bins for bags are clicking open and shut as people stuff their things inside. There's a guy in a red hat trying to fit a giant suitcase up there. It's way too big, but he's pushing anyway. A little girl with pigtails is giggling as she plays with her toy plane, making it fly over her seat. An old man with glasses is reading a book, not even looking up at all the noise. Everyone's doing their own thing, living their own little moments. And in the middle of all that, there's Jamal, walking to row 12, totally chill, totally normal, or so it seemed. Row 12 wasn't far from the front, but it wasn't super close either. It was right in the middle of the plane, where you can hear the engines humming if you listen close. Jamal got there and checked his ticket one more time, just to be extra sure. Yep, 12B. Window seat. Perfect. He liked window seats because he could look out and see the world below: tiny houses, big green fields, fluffy clouds like cotton candy. He slid his backpack off his shoulder and set it down by his feet. Then he sat, nice and easy, pulling his hoodie a little tighter around him. He wasn't loud. He wasn't bothering anyone. He was just a guy ready to fly. But Lisa? She wasn't ready to let him relax. Not even for a second. Lisa started walking toward him. Her shoes made little tapping sounds on the floor: tap, 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 like a clock ticking down to something big. She moved fast, her arms swinging, her face all scrunched up like she'd just eaten a sour lemon. The other flight attendants were busy too, helping people and smiling at kids, but Lisa wasn't smiling. Nope. She looked like she was on a mission, and that mission was Jamal. Why? Nobody knew yet. Not the passengers, not the other workers, not even Jamal himself. But Lisa had something in her head, something mean and grumpy, and she was about to let it all out. The plane wasn't even in the air yet. The doors were still open, and people were still settling in. Outside, you could hear the rumble of trucks moving bags around on the ground. The pilot was up front, talking into his radio with a crackly voice. Flight 247, ready for takeoff soon, he said, but nobody in the back could hear him over all the chatter. It was just another flight, another trip, another day. That's what they all thought. But Lisa was about to change that. She was about to turn this normal day into something wild, something loud, something nobody would forget. Jamal leaned back in his seat, looking out the window. He didn't see Lisa coming yet. He didn't know she was staring at him like he'd done something wrong. To him, everything was fine. He had his ticket, he had his seat, and he was ready to go. But Lisa didn't care about that. She didn't care that he was quiet or nice or just trying to mind his own business. She saw him, and she didn't like him. That's all it took. One look, one bad feeling, and she was ready to make a scene. And oh boy, what a scene it was going to be. Let's think about Jamal for a minute. He wasn't tall or short, just regular. He wasn't loud or quiet in a weird way, just normal quiet. His hoodie was gray, not bright or flashy, just comfy. He didn't have fancy shoes or a big shiny watch. He was just a guy, like someone you might see at school or the park. But to Lisa, he stood out. To Lisa, he wasn't just a guy. He was someone she didn't trust, someone she didn't want on her plane. Why? We don't know yet. Maybe she'd had a bad day. Maybe she'd seen too many movies where the quiet guy is the troublemaker. Or maybe it was something deeper, something meaner, something she wouldn't admit out loud. Whatever it was about to come bursting out of her, and fast. The other people on the plane were still busy. The guy with the red hat finally gave up on his giant suitcase and asked for help. The little girl with pigtails dropped her toy plane, and it rolled under her seat. She started giggling as she tried to grab it. The old man with glasses turned a page in his book, super calm, like nothing could bother him. Nobody was watching Jamal or Lisa yet. Nobody knew that something big was about to happen right there in row 12. But it was coming. Oh, it was coming. Lisa got closer. Tap, tap, tap went her shoes. Her hands were on her hips now, like she was ready to tell someone off. Her badge glinted under the plane's bright lights. Lisa, flight attendant. She'd worn that badge for years, walked these aisles for years, told people to buckle up for years. She thought she knew everything about this job. She thought she could spot trouble from a mile away. And right now, she thought Jamal was trouble. She didn't have proof. She didn't have a reason. She just had a feeling, a bad, grumpy feeling, and that was enough for her. Jamal still didn't look up. He was comfy in his seat, his backpack tucked under his legs. He pulled out his phone for a second, checking something quick, maybe a text from his mom or a game he liked to play. He wasn't loud about it. He wasn't waving his phone around or laughing too hard. He was just a guy, chilling, waiting for the plane to take off. But Lisa didn't see that. She didn't see a guy chilling. She saw something else, something that made her mad, something that made her want to yell. And yelling? That was exactly what she was about to do. So here's where we stop and wonder, what's going to happen next? This plane, this normal day, this quiet guy in row 12, it's all about to get flipped upside down. Lisa's coming, and she's not happy. Jamal's sitting there, and he's got no idea what's headed his way. The other passengers? They're about to get a show they didn't sign up for. And you, my friends, you're along for the ride. So, what do you think? Have you ever had a bad feeling about someone before they even opened their mouth? Maybe a kid at school, a teacher, or someone on the bus? Tell me in the comments, I want to hear your stories. This is just the start of Jamal's big adventure on flight 247, and trust me, it's gonna get wild. Stick around to find out what happens next. Jamal was finally in his seat. Row 12, seat B, right next to the little round window. He liked that spot because he could peek out and see the sky, the clouds, and maybe even tiny houses way down below once the plane took off. He slid into the seat nice and slow, making sure he didn't bump anyone. His gray hoodie was pulled up a little, keeping him cozy. He put his backpack under his legs, right where it wouldn't get in the way. Then he pulled out his ticket one more time, just to be super sure. Yep, it said 12B. No mistakes, no mix-ups. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. He smiled a tiny bit, happy to be settled, and leaned back to relax. But relaxing? That wasn't going to happen. Not with Lisa around. Lisa, the flight attendant, was already mad, and she was coming straight for Jamal like a big storm cloud ready to rain all over his day. Her shoes went tap, tap, tap on the floor, loud and fast, like she was marching to a fight. She didn't walk slow or calm like the other flight attendants. Nope. She stormed over, her arms swinging, her face all tight and grumpy. It was like she owned the whole plane, like she was the boss of every seat, every person, every little thing. And right now, she had her eyes locked on Jamal. "Sir, you're in the wrong seat," she snapped. Her voice was loud, way louder than it needed to be. It wasn't a quiet "hey, can you move" kind of voice. It was a big, mean yell that bounced off the walls of the plane. Half the people in the cabin heard it. Heads turned fast. A man with a beard in row 8 looked up from his phone. A lady with a red scarf in row 10 stopped talking and frowned. Even a little kid with a baseball cap in row 11 peeked over the back of his seat, his eyes wide. Everyone wanted to know what was going on. Why was Lisa so mad? What did Jamal do? Jamal didn't panic. He didn't jump up or yell back. He stayed cool, like a superhero who knows he's got everything under control. He reached into his pocket, slow and easy, and pulled out his boarding pass, that little piece of paper that says where you're supposed to sit. He held it up with one hand and looked at Lisa. "This is my seat," he said. His voice was nice and simple, not loud, not rude. Just clear. He wasn't trying to fight. He was just telling the truth. "Row 12, seat B." That's what the ticket said, and that's where he was. But Lisa? She didn't even look at the ticket. Not for 1 second. She didn't bend down to check it or squint at the tiny writing. She didn't care what it said. She just crossed her arms and stared at Jamal like he was making it all up. I don't think so, she barked. Her words were sharp, like a dog snapping at someone it doesn't like. Move. Now. She didn't ask him to move, she told him, like an order. And her voice wasn't just rude. It was mean. Really mean. It had something nasty in it, like she wasn't just mad about the seat, she was mad about him. The way she said it made your tummy feel tight, like something bad was happening. People on the plane started to whisper. You could hear little bits of voices all around. What's her problem? A lady in row 10 mumbled to her friend. He's just sitting there, a guy with glasses whispered back. The kid with the baseball cap turned to his mom and said, why's she yelling? His mom shushed him, but she looked worried too. Everyone could tell something wasn't right. Lisa was acting like Jamal had done something awful, but all he did was sit down. He wasn't loud. He wasn't mean. He wasn't bothering anyone. So why was she so mad? What was going on? Jamal didn't move. Not an inch. He sat there, steady as a rock, like nothing could shake him. He didn't yell back or get mad. He just looked at Lisa, calm and quiet, and said, check the ticket. That's all he said. 3 little words. He wasn't being sassy or rude. He was giving her a chance to see the truth. The ticket was right there in his hand, plain as day. Row 12, seat B. If Lisa would just look at it, she'd know he was right. She'd know he wasn't lying or trying to trick her. But would she look? Nope. She didn't want to. That's when Lisa really lost it. Her face turned red, like a tomato about to pop. Her eyes got big and wild, and she leaned closer to Jamal, pointing her finger right in his face. Don't tell me how to do my job, she yelled. Oh boy, she was loud now, so loud the whole plane went quiet. Every single person stopped what they were doing. The man with the beard put his phone down. The lady with the red scarf froze. The kid with the baseball cap ducked back into his seat, scared. It was like someone hit a big mute button on the whole cabin. No more whispers, no more chatter, no more noise. Just Lisa's voice, ringing in everyone's ears. Her finger was so close to Jamal's nose, it almost touched him. She waved it around like she was scolding a naughty dog. Don't tell me how to do my job, she said again, even louder this time. She was shaking a little, like she was so mad she couldn't hold it in. Her badge Lisa, flight attendant, wobbled on her shirt as she moved. She'd been doing this job for years, and she thought she knew everything. She thought she was the boss. And here was Jamal, this quiet guy in a hoodie, telling her to check his ticket. To Lisa, that was like a big slap in the face. She didn't like it. Not one bit. The air in the plane felt heavy now. You know that feeling before a big storm, when the sky gets dark and you can tell something's coming. That's what it was like. Everyone could feel it, the tension. It was like a rubber band stretched tight, ready to snap. People didn't know what to do. Should they say something? Should they stay quiet? The lady in row 10 bit her lip, looking worried. The guy with glasses took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. The kid's mom pulled him closer, whispering, just sit still, okay? Nobody wanted to get in the middle of this, but they couldn't look away either. It was too big, too loud, too crazy. But Jamal? He didn't flinch. Not even a little. Lisa was yelling, her finger was in his face, the whole plane was staring, but Jamal stayed calm. He didn't blink. He didn't shake. He didn't even raise his voice. He just sat there, looking at her, like he knew something she didn't. His eyes were steady, like a superhero who's got a secret plan. He didn't need to yell or fight. He didn't need to jump up and make a fuss. He had something up his sleeve, something big, and Lisa was about to find out what it was. Oh boy, was she in for a surprise. Let's picture this for a second. The plane was still on the ground, not flying yet. The doors were open, and you could hear the rumble of trucks outside moving bags around. Inside, the seats were all full now. People had their stuff tucked away, bags in the bins, coats on their laps. The lights were bright, shining down on everyone. The carpet on the floor was a little dirty from all the shoes walking on it. Up front, the other flight attendants were busy, passing out water and smiling at people. But back in row 12, it was a different story. Back in row 12, it was Lisa versus Jamal, and it was getting loud. Lisa kept going. "I've been doing this job forever," she said, her voice sharp like a knife. "I know who belongs where." She was so sure of herself, so sure she was right. She didn't need to see Jamal's ticket. She didn't need to check anything. In her head, Jamal was wrong, and that was that. She pointed at him again, her finger shaking a little. "Move," she said one more time, like she thought yelling it louder would make him jump up and run away. But Jamal didn't move. He didn't run. He just sat there, holding his ticket, waiting. The passengers were watching everything. The man with the beard leaned forward a little, trying to hear better. The lady with the red scarf shook her head, like she couldn't believe Lisa was acting this way. The kid with the baseball cap peeked out again, his eyes big and curious. "Mom, is she gonna make him leave?" he whispered. His mom didn't answer. She didn't know. Nobody knew what was going to happen next. Was Jamal going to get up? Was Lisa going to call someone? Was this going to turn into a big fight right there on the plane? Jamal's ticket was still in his hand. It was a little crumpled from being in his pocket, but you could see the writing clear as day. Row 12, seat B. It wasn't fake. It wasn't wrong. It was his seat, fair and square. He'd checked it 100 times. Well, maybe not 100, but a lot. He knew he was right. But Lisa didn't care about right or wrong. She cared about being the boss. She cared about telling people what to do. And right now, she wanted Jamal out of that seat, no matter what his ticket said. The quiet in the plane was spooky. You could hear the engines humming a little, getting ready to fly. You could hear a bag rustling somewhere in the back. But nobody was talking anymore. They were all watching Lisa and Jamal, holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. It was like a movie, but real. A lady in row 9 pulled out her phone, sneaky-like, and started recording. She didn't say anything, just pointed the camera at row 12. She knew this was big. She knew something was coming. Lisa took a step closer to Jamal. Her shoes squeaked on the floor. Her finger was still out, pointing like a sword. "I said move," she shouted again. Her voice was so loud it hurt your ears. She was mad, really, really mad. But why? Jamal wasn't fighting her. He wasn't yelling back. He was just sitting there, calm and quiet, holding his ticket. So why was she so upset? What was making her act like this? Nobody knew yet, but they could tell it wasn't good. Jamal looked up at her. His eyes were steady, like a lake with no waves. He didn't smile, but he didn't frown either. He was just there. "Check the ticket," he said again, slow and clear. He held it up higher, so she could see it if she wanted to. He wasn't scared. He wasn't mad. He was just telling her the truth, one more time. But Lisa didn't want the truth. She wanted to win. She wanted Jamal to get up and move, just because she said so. The tension was so thick you could feel it in your chest. Everyone was waiting. The lady with the phone kept recording. The man with the beard leaned even closer. The kid with the baseball cap held his breath. Something was going to happen, something big. Jamal wasn't moving. Lisa wasn't backing down. The plane was quiet, the air was heavy, and the storm was about to break. What was Jamal hiding? What was he going to do? And what was Lisa going to find out? Oh, it was coming, and it was going to be wild. The fight between Jamal and Lisa didn't stop. It was like a tug of war, but with words instead of a rope. They stood there, Jamal in his seat, Lisa right in front of him, and it felt like time slowed down. The standoff only lasted a few seconds, like the time it takes to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. But to everyone watching, it felt like forever. It was so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat. Nobody moved. Nobody talked. They just stared, waiting to see what would happen next. Lisa wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started. Her voice got louder and louder, like a siren you hear when a fire truck zooms by. She was yelling so much, Her face turned all red and sweaty. "People like you always think they can do whatever they want," she spat. Those words came out fast and mean, like she was throwing them at Jamal to hurt him. Oof, they hit hard, like a punch to the tummy. They weren't just loud. They were nasty. Really nasty. She didn't say people who sit in the wrong seat. She said people like you. What did she mean by that? Why did she say it that way? It made everyone feel weird, like something unfair was happening. The passengers couldn't believe it. They gasped like when you see something shocking in a movie and suck in a big breath. A lady with curly hair in row 9 put her hand over her mouth. A man with a big beard in row 8 opened his eyes wide. Even the little kid with the baseball cap from before peeked over his seat again, whispering, "Mom, what did she say?" His mom didn't answer, she just looked worried. Everyone heard Lisa's words, and they didn't like them. Those words weren't nice. They weren't about the seat anymore. They were about something bigger, something meaner, and it made the air feel heavy and strange. Then a guy in a fancy suit, sitting a few rows back in 14C, did something. He reached into his pocket quick, like he didn't want anyone to see, and pulled out his phone. He held it up, pointing it right at Lisa and Jamal. He pressed a button, and a little red dot showed up on the screen. He was recording. He wanted to catch every word, every move, every second of this big mess. His hands were steady, like he knew this was important. Maybe he thought, "This is wild, I've got to show my friends." Or maybe he thought, "This isn't right, I need proof." Whatever he was thinking, he kept that phone up, watching through the screen as things got crazier. Jamal didn't yell back. Nope. He didn't even raise his voice a little bit. While Lisa was shouting and pointing, Jamal stayed calm like a superhero who knows he's got a secret power. He didn't jump up or wave his arms or get mad. He just sat there, cool as a cucumber, like nothing could shake him. His face didn't change. He didn't frown or smile or anything. He was steady, like a rock in a river that doesn't move no matter how fast the water flows. But he wasn't doing nothing. Oh no. He was up to something. Slowly, so slow you almost didn't notice, he reached into his hoodie pocket. His hand moved easy and quiet, slipping inside, and he pulled out something. What was it? Nobody could tell yet. His hand was closed around it, hiding it from everyone. Was it a piece of paper? A key? His phone? Whatever it was, he didn't show it right away. He just held it, waiting, like he knew the perfect moment was coming. Lisa didn't see it. She was too busy yelling, too busy being mad. Her eyes were locked on Jamal's face, not his hands. She didn't notice what he was doing. She didn't know he was about to change everything. Lisa kept going, her voice loud and sharp like a teacher scolding a kid who broke the rules. "I've been here 15 years, she shouted. "I know the rules." She said it like it was a big deal, like 15 years made her the boss of the whole plane. She puffed out her chest a little, her badge shining under the bright lights. Lisa, flight attendant. She'd worn that badge for a long time. 15 years is a lot. That's longer than most kids have been alive. She thought it meant she was always right. She thought it meant she could tell Jamal what to do, no questions asked. "I know the rules," she said again, pointing at herself now, like she was the queen of the sky. But then Jamal moved. He lifted his hand, the one that had been in his pocket, and opened it. He was holding his phone. Not a fancy one, just a regular phone, the kind you use to text your friends or play games. He held it up slow, like he was showing a treasure he'd found. He didn't say anything yet. He just turned the screen toward Lisa, letting her see what was on it. And that's when everything stopped. Lisa froze. Mid-sentence, mid-yell, mid-everything. Her mouth was open, ready to say more mean stuff, but no words came out. Her eyes got big, like she'd seen a ghost. Her face went pale, like all the red drained out of it. She looked scared, like she'd just made a huge mistake. What was on that phone? What did Jamal show her? Was it a text? Like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be here"? Was it a picture? Maybe of his ticket or something else. Was it a video? Nobody knew yet. The passengers couldn't see the screen from where they were sitting. It was too far, too small. But whatever it was, it hit Lisa like a big wave. She stumbled over her own words, trying to talk but messing up. She said, sounding all shaky. Her loud, bossy voice was gone. Now she sounded like a kid who got caught doing something bad. What was happening? What did Jamal have? The guy in the suit with the phone leaned closer. He zoomed in, his fingers moving fast on the screen. He didn't want to miss this. He could tell something big was coming. The lady across the aisle, a woman with a blue hat in row 12D, leaned over too. What's going on? She muttered to herself, her voice quiet but curious. She couldn't see the phone either, but she knew something was up. Everyone knew. The air felt electric, like when you rub a balloon on your hair and it sticks up all crazy. You could feel the buzz, the excitement, the wonder. What was Jamal doing? What was on that phone? Let's picture the plane for a second. It's still on the ground, not flying yet. The engines are humming a little, getting ready. The seats are all full, people squished in with their bags and coats. The lights are bright, shining down like little suns. The windows show the airport outside, trucks moving, workers walking, planes waiting. Up front, the pilot is talking into his radio, saying stuff like, Flight 247, almost ready. But back here, in row 12, nobody cares about the pilot. They're all watching Jamal and Lisa. It's like a show, and they're the stars. Lisa tried to talk again. What's that? She said, pointing at the phone. Her voice wasn't loud anymore. It was small, wobbly, like she wasn't sure what to say. She took a tiny step back, her shoes squeaking on the floor. Her hands dropped to her sides, and her badge tilted a little on her shirt. She didn't look like the boss now. She looked confused. Scared, even. Whatever Jamal showed her, it shook her up bad. She wasn't yelling anymore. She wasn't telling him to move. She was just standing there, staring at that phone, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. The passengers were buzzing now. Not loud buzzing, just little whispers, like bees in a hive. What did he show her? The lady with curly hair in row 9 whispered to her friend. I don't know, but she's freaked out, her friend whispered back. The man with the beard nodded to himself, like he was piecing it together. The kid with the baseball cap turned to his mom again. Did he do something cool? He asked, his eyes big. His mom shushed him, but she was watching too. Everyone was. The guy in the suit kept recording, his phone steady as a rock. He wasn't going to miss a second of this. Jamal didn't say anything yet. He just held the phone up, letting Lisa look. His face was still calm, still steady. He wasn't smiling or laughing or acting big and tough. He was just there, like he knew he didn't need to say much. Whatever was on that screen, it was doing all the talking for him. And it was working. Lisa couldn't yell anymore. She couldn't boss him around. She was stuck, like a fly in honey, and Jamal was the one holding the jar. The air got even more electric. You could feel it in your fingers, in your toes, everywhere. Something was about to happen, something huge. Jamal wasn't just some random guy in a hoodie. Oh no. He was more than that. Way more. He had a secret, a big one, and that secret was on his phone. It was about to turn this whole scene upside down, like flipping a table full of toys. Lisa didn't know it yet, but she was in trouble. Big trouble. And the passengers? They were on the edge of their seats, waiting to see what came next. Let's think about Lisa for a minute. She'd been so loud, so sure of herself. I've been here 15 years, she'd shouted, like that made her right about everything. She thought she knew it all, the seats, the rules, the people. She thought Jamal was just some guy causing problems. But now she wasn't so sure. Her red face was gone. Her loud voice was gone. She looked small, like a balloon that lost all its air. Whatever Jamal showed her, it changed everything. It made her stop. It made her think. And it made her scared. The guy in the suit zoomed in even more. His phone was so close now, you could hear it make a tiny beep as he adjusted it. He wanted every detail, the look on Lisa's face, the way Jamal held the phone, everything. The lady with the blue hat across the aisle leaned over so far she almost fell out of her seat. What is it? She whispered again, louder this time. Nobody answered her. Nobody knew. But they all wanted to find out. Jamal kept the phone up. He didn't move it away. He didn't hide it. He just let Lisa look, let her see whatever it was that made her freeze. His hand didn't shake. His eyes didn't blink. He was calm, like a lake with no wind. But inside, he was ready. Ready for what? We don't know yet. But it was coming. Something big was coming, and it was going to shake up the whole plane. The whispers got a little louder. He's got something, the man with the beard said to the lady next to him. Yeah, but what? She said back. Is it his ticket? The kid with the baseball cap asked his mom. SHH, I don't know, she said, patting his head. The lady with curly hair pulled out her own phone, like she might start recording too. Everyone was guessing, wondering, waiting. What was on that phone? Why did it stop Lisa cold? What was Jamal hiding? The plane was still quiet, but not the spooky quiet from before. Now it was a buzzy quiet, like everyone was holding their breath but couldn't stop fidgeting. The engines hummed outside. A bag rustled somewhere. The guy in the suit's phone made another tiny beep. And Jamal? He just sat there, holding his phone, watching Lisa fall apart. He didn't need to say a word. He didn't need to yell or fight. He had something big and it was about to change everything. So what was it? A text? A picture? Something else? We don't know yet, but it was huge. Huge enough to make Lisa stop yelling. Huge enough to make her face go pale. Huge enough to make the whole plane buzz with wonder. Jamal wasn't just a random passenger. He was someone special, someone with a secret. And that secret was about to flip this whole crazy day upside down. Stick around, because it's only getting wilder from here. Everything happened fast, like super fast. It only took 4 minutes. That's not long, right? 4 minutes is how long it takes to brush your teeth or tie your shoes if you're really slow. But in those 4 little minutes, everything on Flight 247 changed. It went from loud and tense to crazy and wild, all because of Jamal. He was about to show everyone who he really was, and oh boy, it was a big deal. Jamal had been sitting in his seat, row 12B, with Lisa yelling at him. She was mad, pointing her finger, telling him to move. The whole plane was watching, holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen. Jamal had his phone in his hand, showing her something that made her freeze. Her face went pale, her voice got shaky, and she didn't know what to do. That's where we left off, right at the edge of something huge. And now? Now it was time for the big moment. The moment everyone would remember. Jamal stood up. He didn't jump up fast or anything crazy like that. He stood up slow and tall, like a tree growing right there in the aisle. He was calm, super calm, like he knew exactly what he was doing. His gray hoodie hung loose on him, and his backpack was still under his seat. He didn't look scared or mad or anything. He looked like he was in control, like he was the boss now. Everyone's eyes were on him. The lady with curly hair in row 9, the man with the beard in row 8, the kid with the baseball cap in row 11, they all stopped and stared. Even the guy in the suit who was recording leaned forward, his phone shaking a little because he was so excited. Lisa, Jamal said. His voice wasn't quiet anymore. It was loud enough for everyone to hear, all the way to the back of the plane. It wasn't a yell, though. It was strong and clear, like when your teacher calls your name and you know they mean business. You might want to check who I am before you keep yelling. He said it slow, letting every word sink in. He wasn't being mean or sassy. He was just telling her the truth. Lisa had been yelling at him, telling him to move, saying mean stuff, and now he was saying, hold on. You don't even know me. Lisa blinked. Her mouth was still open from when she froze before. She looked at Jamal, then at his phone, then back at him. Her hands were shaky, like when you're cold and can't stop shivering. She didn't know what to say. The whole plane was quiet, super quiet, waiting for what came next. Jamal held his phone up higher, the screen still facing her. Then, slow as can be, he flipped it around so everyone could see. And there it was. A badge. Not a real badge you pin on your shirt, but a picture of one on his phone. Big, shiny, and official. It said Federal Air Marshal in big letters. Boom. That was it. The big reveal. The plane went nuts. People gasped like when you drop your ice cream and it splats on the ground. "Oh," said the lady with curly hair. "What?" said the man with the beard. "Whoa," shouted a guy way in the back, so loud it echoed. Whispers started everywhere, like little waves rippling through the seats. "A marshal? No way. That's him." Everyone was talking at once, their voices buzzing like bees. The kid with the baseball cap popped up again, his eyes huge. "Mom, he's a secret police guy," he said, bouncing in his seat. His mom just nodded, too shocked to shush him this time. A federal air marshal. That's what Jamal was. Not just some guy in a hoodie. Not just a regular passenger. He was like a superhero in real life, a secret guard who keeps planes safe. He wasn't there to cause trouble. He was there to stop trouble. And Lisa? She'd been yelling at him like he was nobody. Oh boy, she messed up big time. Lisa's jaw dropped. Like, really dropped, so low you could see her teeth. Her face went from pale to red, then back to white, like a stoplight changing colors. Her hands shook even more, and she took a tiny step back. Her shoes squeaked on the floor, squeak like she wanted to run away but couldn't. I didn't know," she stammered. Her voice was all wobbly now, not loud and bossy like before. She sounded like a kid who got caught sneaking cookies. She tried to say more, but the words wouldn't come out right. I thought she was tripping over herself, trying to fix what she'd done. But it was too late. Way too late. Jamal cut her off. "You didn't ask," he said. His voice was cool like ice in a glass on a hot day. He didn't yell or get mad. He just said it, plain and simple. "You judged me the second I walked in." Oof. That hit hard. He was right. Lisa saw him, his hoodie, his quiet way, and decided he didn't belong. She didn't check his ticket. She didn't ask who he was. She just started yelling, thinking she knew everything. But she didn't know anything. Not about Jamal. Not about his job. Not about the badge on that phone. The passengers couldn't stop staring. The lady with curly hair clapped her hand over her mouth again, like she was holding in a scream. The man with the beard shook his head, muttering, "Wow, wow, wow." The kid with the baseball cap grinned big, like he'd just seen his favorite superhero fly. The guy in the suit, the one recording, grinned too. His phone was still up, catching every second. "That's what you get," he muttered, loud enough for the people near him to hear. He was happy. Real happy. Lisa messed up, and Jamal was showing her up big time. Then something else happened. A voice came over the speaker, the big one that talks to the whole plane. It was the captain, the guy flying the plane. His voice crackled, like when your radio isn't tuned right. "Lisa, report to the front. Now." That's all he said. Short and sharp, like a teacher calling you to the principal's office. Everyone heard it. Everyone knew what it meant. Lisa was in trouble, big, giant, humongous trouble. Her face turned red again, then white, like she couldn't decide how to feel. She knew what was coming. She knew she'd gone too far. Lisa didn't move right away. She just stood there, staring at Jamal, then at the floor, then at nothing. Her hands were still shaky, and her badge, Lisa, flight attendant, looked silly now. She wasn't the boss anymore. She wasn't in charge. She was just a lady who'd yelled at the wrong guy. Jamal looked at her for a second, then sat back down. Slow and easy, like he'd done his part. He put his phone back in his pocket, leaned back in his seat, and looked out the window. Cool as ice. He didn't need to say anything else. He'd won. The plane was loud now, not quiet anymore. People were talking, whispering, laughing even. "She's done for," said the lady with curly hair to her friend. "Can you believe it?" "A marshal," said the man with the beard. "That was awesome," said the kid with the baseball cap, bouncing again. His mom smiled this time, she couldn't help it. The guy in the suit kept recording, but he was grinning so big his face hurt. "That's what you get," he said again, louder this time. He wanted Lisa to hear it. He wanted everyone to know. Let's picture it all. The plane's still on the ground, engines humming. The seats are full, people leaning over, craning their necks to see Jamal. The lights are bright, shining down on row 12 like a spotlight. The windows show the airport outside, trucks and bags and workers running around. Up front, the captain's waiting, probably mad. And in the middle of it all is Jamal, sitting calm and quiet, and Lisa, standing there like she's lost. It's wild. Totally wild. Lisa finally moved. She turned around, slow like a robot, and started walking to the front. Her shoes went tap, tap, tap again, but not fast and mad this time. They were slow, like she didn't want to go. Her head was down, her shoulders all slumped. She looked small now, not big and loud like before. She knew what was waiting for her up there. The captain didn't sound happy. Not one bit. And the passengers? They watched her go, some smiling, some shaking their heads. They couldn't believe it. 4 minutes ago, she was yelling at Jamal. Now she was in big trouble. Jamal didn't watch her leave. He didn't need to. He just sat there, looking out the window, his hoodie pulled up a little. He didn't smile or laugh or cheer. He didn't have to. He'd shown everyone who he was, a federal air marshal, a guy who keeps planes safe. He didn't need to yell or fight. He just showed his badge, and that was enough. Lisa judged him wrong, and now she was paying for it. The guy in the suit stopped recording. He put his phone down and clapped, quiet at first, then louder. Yes, he said, pumping his fist. A few other people clapped too. The lady with curly hair, the man with the beard, they joined in. The kid with the baseball cap clapped the loudest, giggling like it was the best day ever. He's so cool, he said to his mom. She nodded, clapping too. It wasn't a big cheer, like at a game, but it was enough. They were happy. Happy for Jamal, happy Lisa got caught. Lisa got to the front and disappeared behind a little curtain. Nobody could see her now, but they could guess what was happening. The captain was probably mad, really mad. She'd yelled at a marshal, a guy who's supposed to be the good guy. That's a big no-no. The passengers kept talking, their voices all mixed up. She didn't even check. He's a hero. Wow, just wow. It was like a party now, everyone excited and chatty. Jamal stayed quiet. He didn't say anything to the clapping or the whispers. He just sat there, cool and calm, like it was no big deal. But it was a big deal. A huge deal. In 4 minutes, just 4 little minutes, he turned everything around. Lisa thought he was nobody. She thought he was just some guy in a hoodie. But he wasn't. He was a federal air marshal, and he'd shown her up in front of everyone. The plane settled down a little, but the buzz didn't stop. People kept looking at Jamal, sneaking peeks like he was a movie star. The kid with the baseball cap waved at him, and Jamal gave a tiny nod back. The guy in the suit watched his video again, smiling big. The lady with curly hair kept whispering to her friend, pointing at row 12. They couldn't stop talking about it. 4 minutes. That's all it took to flip the whole day upside down. Lisa was gone now, up front with the captain. Her big, loud voice was silent. Her badge didn't mean much anymore. She'd messed up, really messed up, and everyone knew it. Jamal was the hero, the quiet guy who didn't need to yell. He just showed his phone, said a few words, and boom, everything changed. The passengers couldn't stop staring, couldn't stop smiling. It was wild, it was awesome, and it was all because of Jamal. The big moment was over. Jamal had shown his phone, the badge popped up, Federal Air Marshal, and Lisa's whole world flipped upside down. The plane was buzzing with whispers and claps, and Lisa had walked to the front with her head down after the captain called her. That was the last time anyone saw her on flight 247. Now, it was time for the story to finish, and oh boy, it finished in a way that felt so good, like when the good guy wins in your favorite movie. The plane didn't take off right away after all that drama. It stayed on the ground a little longer, engines humming, while the captain and the other workers figured things out up front. Nobody could see Lisa behind that little curtain, but they could guess what was happening. She wasn't just in trouble, she was in big trouble. Yelling at a passenger is bad enough, but yelling at a federal air marshal? That's like yelling at a superhero who's there to keep everyone safe. The airline people didn't like that. Not one bit. They had rules, big, important rules, and Lisa broke them. She didn't just break a little rule, like forgetting to smile. She broke a giant one, respect. Time passed. The plane finally started moving, rolling slow at first, then faster. The engines got louder, vroom, vroom, and the wheels bumped along the ground. People looked out the windows, watching the airport zoom by. The kid with the baseball cap in row 11 pressed his nose to the glass, giggling as the plane picked up speed. The lady with curly hair in row 9 held her friend's hand, still whispering about Jamal. The man with the beard in row 8 nodded to himself, like he was proud of what happened. And Jamal? He just sat there in 12B, quiet as ever, looking out his window like nothing big had gone down. But something big had gone down, and everyone knew it. The plane lifted off up into the sky. The ground got smaller, the buildings turned into tiny toys, and the clouds came closer. It was a smooth ride, no bumps or shakes. The other flight attendants walked around, passing out water and snacks, smiling like everything was normal. But it wasn't normal. Lisa wasn't there. She didn't come back from the front. Not once. The passengers kept looking around, waiting to see her, but she was gone. Where did she go? What happened to her? They didn't know yet, but they could feel it, something had changed. The flight wasn't long, just a couple of hours. The captain's voice came on again, crackling over the speaker. "Folks, we'll be landing soon," he said, all calm and happy. "Thanks for flying with us." He didn't say anything about Lisa or Jamal or the big scene in row 12. He didn't need to. Everyone already knew. They'd seen it with their own eyes. They'd heard Jamal say, "You didn't ask," and watched Lisa stumble away. It was the talk of the plane, whispers here, giggles there, heads shaking everywhere. The guy in the suit from row 14C watched his video again, showing it to the lady next to him. "Look at her face," he said, laughing. She had no idea. When the plane landed, it was soft and easy. The wheels touched the ground, bump, bump, and it slowed down, rolling to a stop. The engines got quiet, and the seatbelt sign went ding, telling everyone they could get up. People started moving, grabbing bags, stretching their legs. The kid with the baseball cap jumped up, waving his little toy plane. The lady with curly hair pulled her suitcase down from the bin. The man with the beard stood up slow, cracking his back. It was like any other landing, busy, noisy, normal. But this time, it felt different. This time, everyone was waiting to see what happened next. By the time the plane stopped and the doors opened, Lisa was gone. Not just gone from the aisle, gone from the job. Fired. On the spot. No warnings, no "hey, don't do that again," no second chances. The airline didn't mess around. They found out what she did, yelling at Jamal, saying mean stuff, not checking his ticket, and they said, "Nope, you're done." It happened fast, like snapping your fingers. 1 minute she was a flight attendant with a badge and 15 years of work. The next minute, she was out. No more plane, no more uniform, no more telling people what to do. Just gone. Word spread fast like wildfire running through dry grass. The other flight attendants must have talked to the captain, and the captain must have called someone big at the airline. They figured out who Jamal was, a federal air marshal, a guy who keeps planes safe from bad stuff. Lisa didn't just yell at a regular passenger. She yelled at someone super important, someone who was there to protect everyone, even her. That was a huge mistake. Huge. The airline had rules about treating people right, and Lisa crossed a line, a big, fat, giant line. So they fired her, right then and there. No waiting, no talking it over. Just you're out. The passengers didn't know all the details yet, but they could tell something big happened. As they got up to leave, they started talking louder. "She's not coming back, is she?" the lady with curly hair said to her friend. "Nope, she's gone," her friend said, nodding. "Good," said the man with the beard, grabbing his bag. "She was mean." The kid with the baseball cap tugged his mom's sleeve. "Did she get fired, Mom?" he asked, eyes big. "I think so," his mom said, smiling a little. "She shouldn't have yelled at that nice man." The guy in the suit zipped up his phone in his pocket, still grinning. "Best flight ever," he said to nobody, just happy to have seen it all. Jamal stood up too. He didn't rush or push. He just grabbed his backpack from under the seat, slung it over his shoulder, and got ready to go. He was still calm, super calm, like he always was. His gray hoodie was pulled up a bit, and he looked out the window one last time before turning to the aisle. The passengers watched him, sneaky-like, peeking over their seats. They didn't want to stare too hard, but they couldn't help it. He was the hero of the day, the quiet guy who turned everything around. Then it happened. As Jamal stepped into the aisle, people clapped. Not a big, loud cheer like at a ball game, but a soft, happy clap. Clap, clap, clap. It started with the guy in the suit. He put his hands together and smiled big. Then the lady with curly hair joined in, clapping fast. The man with the beard clapped slow and steady, nodding at Jamal. The kid with the baseball cap clapped the loudest, jumping up and down. "Yay," he shouted, waving his little toy plane. His mom clapped too, laughing a little. It wasn't everyone, just a few people, but it was enough. They were saying thank you without words. Thank you for being cool. Thank you for showing Lisa she was wrong. The lady from row 10 was near Jamal as he walked by. She was the one who'd frowned when Lisa yelled before. Now she looked at him, her eyes soft, and gave him a nod. Just a little tilt of her head, like saying, "You're awesome." Jamal nodded back, tiny, quick, but nice. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. The nod was enough. Then the kid with the baseball cap waved, his hand flapping like a bird. "Bye, Marshall guy," he called, grinning big. Jamal gave him a tiny wave back, just lifting his fingers a little. The kid's mom smiled, and the kid giggled like he'd just met a superhero. Maybe he had. Jamal kept walking, slow and steady, toward the door. People moved out of his way not because he pushed, but because they wanted to let him through. They watched him go, some still clapping, some just staring. The guy in the suit followed behind, still talking about his video. "I got the whole thing," he said to the lady with curly hair. "She's gonna hate seeing this." The lady laughed, and the man with the beard chuckled too. They were all happy Lisa was gone, happy Jamal was the good guy. Outside, the plane was parked at the gate. The sky was getting dark, and little lights blinked on the ground. Workers in orange vests were moving bags and waving sticks to guide the plane. The passengers walked down a long tunnel thing, those wobbly bridges that connect the plane to the airport. They dragged their suitcases, chatting and laughing, still buzzing about what happened. Jamal was in the middle of them, his backpack bouncing a little as he walked. He didn't look back. He just kept going, calm as ever. But Lisa? She wasn't with them. She didn't walk off the plane with everyone else. She was already gone off the plane, off the job, out of the sky. Somebody saw her later, way out on the tarmac, that big concrete place where planes park. She was hauling her stuff, a little suitcase and a bag, away from the plane. Her head was down, her shoulders all slumped, like she was carrying something heavy even though her bags were small. Her blue uniform was still on, but her badge, Lisa, flight attendant, wasn't pinned to it anymore. Maybe she took it off. Maybe someone took it for her. Either way, it was gone, just like her job. She didn't look up as she walked. She didn't wave or talk to anyone. She just kept going, her shoes clicking on the ground, slow and sad. The workers in orange vests didn't stop her, they just let her pass, like they knew she didn't belong there anymore. Turns out, all those years of knowing the rules didn't help her. She'd bragged about it, "I've been here 15 years. I know the rules." But it didn't matter. She broke the big one, respect. She didn't respect Jamal. She judged him, yelled at him, said mean stuff, all because she thought he was nobody. But he wasn't nobody. He was a federal air marshal, and she paid for not seeing that. Back inside, the passengers kept moving through the airport. They grabbed their bags, hugged their families, headed to their cars. But they didn't stop talking about Jamal and Lisa. "She got fired so fast," the lady with curly hair said, pulling her suitcase. "Yeah, you don't mess with a marshal," the man with the beard said, nodding. "He was so cool," the kid with the baseball cap told his mom, skipping along. "Can I be a marshal when I grow up?" His mom laughed. "Maybe, if you're brave like him," she said. The guy in the suit was already texting his friends, sending them the video. "You gotta see this," he typed, grinning big. Jamal didn't stick around to hear all that. He walked out of the airport, his backpack on, and disappeared into the crowd. Nobody knew where he was going, maybe home, maybe to another plane, maybe somewhere secret because that's what marshals do. He didn't need to stay and get more claps or waves. He'd done his job, not just the marshal job, but showing Lisa she was wrong. He didn't need a big thank you. He just needed to be himself, calm, quiet, strong. Lisa, though. She was done. Her 15 years didn't save her. Her badge didn't save her. Her loud voice didn't save her. She crossed a line, and the airline said, "No more." She was last seen walking away, her stuff in her hands, her head down, her job gone forever. It was fast, it was final, and it felt right. She didn't respect Jamal, and now she had nothing left. The passengers would never forget it. They'd tell their friends, their families, their neighbors. This one time, on a plane, a flight attendant yelled at a guy, and he was a marshal, and she got fired. It was a story, a big, wild, awesome story. And Jamal? He was the hero. The quiet guy in the hoodie who didn't need to yell. He just showed the truth, and justice was served. Fast, fair, and perfect. Okay, friends, let's sit back and think about what just happened on Flight 247. It was wild, right? Jamal, the quiet guy in the hoodie, turned out to be a federal air marshal, a real-life hero. And Lisa, the loud flight attendant who thought she knew everything, ended up with nothing. Fired, gone, out the door, all in 4 minutes. That's fast. It's like a magic trick, but real. And it's got me thinking about something big. Something you can take with you every single day. Ready to hear it? Here we go. Here's the thing, you never know who's sitting next to you. Seriously. That kid on the bus with the messy hair? He might be super smart and invent something cool one day. The lady in the store who's all quiet? She could be a teacher or a doctor or even a secret spy. And the guy in the hoodie like Jamal? He might be the one keeping everyone safe. You can't tell just by looking. People are like presents, you don't know what's inside until you open them up. The outside doesn't tell the whole story. Jamal looked regular, right? Just a guy with a backpack, chilling by the window. But inside, he was big, big with power, big with courage, big with a badge that said, "I'm here to help." And then there's Lisa. She was loud, bossy, picking a fight with Jamal because she didn't like how he looked. She judged him fast, super fast, like in a snap of your fingers. She thought, he's nobody, and started yelling. But guess what? She was wrong. So wrong. And because she was loud and mean, she fell hard. She lost her job, her badge, everything, poof, gone. Life's funny that way. The ones who shout and act big? They're usually the first to trip and fall. It's like when you're playing tag and the kid who brags about being the fastest runs into a tree. Oops. Lisa ran into Jamal's truth, and down she went. Life works like that sometimes. It's sneaky and surprising. You think you know everything like Lisa did with her 15 years of rules, but then bam, something happens, and you realize you don't know much at all. Judging people quick can get you in trouble. Big trouble. Lisa lost her job in 4 minutes flat. 4 minutes. That's how long it takes to eat a sandwich or draw a picture. 1 second she was yelling, the next she was walking away with her head down. It's a lesson, friends. A big, shiny lesson wrapped up in this crazy plain story. So what can we learn from Jamal and Lisa? Here's what I think: be nice and be smart. Don't judge people by their clothes or how quiet they are or what you think they're like. Give them a chance. Ask questions. Look closer. Jamal didn't look like a hero at first. Gray hoodie, no fancy stuff, but he was. He had power nobody saw coming. And Lisa? She looked like she had it all together: uniform, badge, loud voice, but she didn't. She judged too fast, and it bit her like a dog with sharp teeth. Be like Jamal, not like Lisa. Stay calm, be kind, and let the truth show who you are. Think about your own life for a second. Have you ever seen someone get humbled like Lisa did? Maybe at school, there's a kid who's always loud and bossy, telling everyone what to do. They think they're the best, top of the class, king of the playground. But then one day, they mess up. Maybe they brag about winning a game, but someone quieter beats them. Or they tease a kid who turns out to be really good at something, like drawing, or running, or math. Boom, they're not so loud anymore. They get humbled, Just like Lisa. It happens all the time. The loud ones fall, and the quiet ones rise. It's like a secret rule of life. Or maybe you've been the quiet one like Jamal. Maybe you didn't say much, but you did something awesome, and people were surprised. Like when you help a friend with homework and they didn't know you were so smart. Or you score a goal in soccer when nobody thought you could. You don't need to shout about it. You just do it, and everyone sees. That's power, quiet power. Jamal had it, and maybe you do too. You don't have to be loud to be big. You just have to be you. So here's the cool part, every day is like flight 247. You're on a plane or at school, or at home, or at the park and you're sitting next to people you don't really know. They could be anyone. The girl with the ponytail might be a dancer. The boy with the backpack might be a future pilot. You don't know until you talk to them, until you see what's inside. Don't judge too quick, or you might miss something amazing. And don't be loud and mean like Lisa, or you might lose something big like your job, or your friends, or just feeling good about yourself. Life's funny, right? It twists and turns, and sometimes the quiet guy in the hoodie is the one holding all the power. Sometimes the loud ones picking fights are the first to fall. It's a game, almost like hide and seek with surprises everywhere. Judge too fast, and you might lose everything in 4 minutes flat. But be kind, be patient, and you might find a hero sitting right next to you. So, what do you think? Have you ever seen someone get humbled like Lisa? Maybe a bully who got caught, or a bragger who tripped up? Or have you been the quiet one who surprised everyone? Drop your stories below, I'm reading every single one. I love hearing what you've seen, what you've done. And if this tale got your heart racing, if it made you cheer for Jamal and shake your head at Lisa, give it a like. Share it with a friend too. Tell them, you gotta hear this plain story, it's wild. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Keep being awesome, keep being kind, and keep looking for the heroes around you. Bye for now.